Hey, how's it going? Okay, so this is recorded after what you're about to watch. I and being new to all this editing software and everything, when I finished the video, I exported it to quickly, and I forgot to take this screen that you see of me and make it the tiny version over in the corner. And then when I tried to go do that in the post edit, uh, the program froze and I lost everything except this original video. So instead of re-recording everything, we're just gonna have to deal with this split screen. Francisco, I'm very sorry to have cut off your body with my face. But thankfully, we can still see your face and you saying everything. So the point will still get through. Again, I apologize if this is annoying to anyone or inconvenience. Um, just listen to it, then, I guess. You don't have to watch it. All right. Thank you. Love you. Enjoy Francisco FLWRS. Thank you again, Francisco, for being part of this. Hello. Oh, it already started. Hey, how's it going? Okay, so last time we had Mara McGee reading pages 1 through 10. And this time we have Francisco FLWRS reading pages 11 through 20. Let's see how that goes. Together.
Hi, I'm Francisco FLWRS. I'll be reading pages 11 through 20. Love y'all.
So, just to pause that real quick, sorry for the interruption. 11 starts off with the previous page. I'll extend on that. So, I can personally say that for the most part, besides the moments of individual or shared universal suffering, I enjoy experiencing all of this data and information that we can closer share and connect as individuals or groups. And in effect, we directly and indirectly extend the reach and knowledge of the funk as a whole based off of our influences that we attribute to each other. It is the opportunity to live and not live, to exist and not exist, to be and not to be. And what becomes of all of this slash that from all of this and that, and what doesn't? Epistemically, we are within and without the moments of here and there, wherever there may be and that may be. We just don't quite know how or why yet. July 17th, 2024. For the Buddhist, suffering is to be escaped by eliminating the centrality of the subject and therefore deny the nature of the subject is to see there. No, hold on. For the Buddhist, suffering is to be escaped by eliminating the centrality of the subject and therefore deny the nature of the subject to see themselves as central. But to Nietzsche, suffering can only be overcome once it is affirmed and embraced, a la amor fati. You got the link there as well, and I will include that in below the video. All right, this is where Francisco's starting.
Power in Numbers is the song on right now. You may not understand what I am saying currently, semantically, metaphorically, figuratively, theoretically, etc., but given enough time, experience, and study, it becomes clearer and clearer, and you are here hopefully taking interest in these patterns I'm attempting to explain for you and slash or us to now be expanding upon slash with. It's a time and numbers game. Until next time is on as I wrap up this first official at length and fully presented announcement, dissertation, treatise, or whatever you'd like to classify it as, of the funk to itself and the accesses we and slash or I have posted and shared it across. Seen again.
And that is where the first entry of the treatise concludes. Within that entry, of course, there are timestamps of different things from later on as this treatise evolves. But from where it started and where I first finished in that first night, right there. Let's continue.
And Thursday, December 19th, while editing. January 8th, 2020, September 20th, 2020, March 16th, 2021. Goodness got the vapors plays. April 18th, 2022, March 5th, 2023, February 1st, 2024. Light on recording progress plays. August 10th, 2024. December 5th, 2019, 10:13 a.m. Only a test, everything is fine, plays as I post on Facebook, followed by secret knowledge. What we are gathering and/or assembling, this is a test/study/observation of perspective, experience, philosophy, ontology, epistemology, quantum theory, metaphysics, ethics, sociology, art, music, creation, perspective, experience, and beyond, and everything is seemingly fine and functioning properly so far. Still true as of January 8th, 2020. September 20th, 2020, March 16th, 2021, everything will last forever and nothing will decay plays. April 18th, 2022, March 5th, 2023, February 6th, 2024, August 11th, 2024.
So those dates that you see, those timestamps of me leaving on these past two paragraphs, are me returning through this. Essentially, as I'm doing another addition edit, this is proof as it expands, how time reaches back into itself and continues moving forward with the information as it expands it. And then, as synchronicity has it, you can see the songs and the music that I was listening to at these times just it synchronizes and it just fit at these moments. And I don't know. It is both coincidence and phenomena, and these aren't here to like exactly convince you that these are, heavenly signs and stuff. But it just goes to show, like this whole treatise, as I was writing it, how these little small things just kept coming up and being like, put this right here, this goes here, and then even as I edited it through, it made it even more powerful. And I just think that is interesting. So let's move on.
Good morning plays, followed by suddenly it is tomorrow. I had stayed up a significant amount of the night writing and editing this dissertation, then kind of sadness. As the thoughts of coming to this awareness and now having to share this information and how it will affect my/our futures or not was/is a collection of many kinds of emotions, and in a way a bit sad to me because it feels like this is it, but also not it. It feels as if everything is in motion, construction, and on its way, and I'm about to deal with the consequences of this experiences.
And that's true. And what was rushing through me at this time and what I was feeling was like when, and we'll get into this later on in the treatise, the experience of like why I started writing the treatise was because of a deep meditation that I felt that basically like communicated to me. And I can't say communicated is the right word because it happened in my own head. You know what I mean? But what it translated to me was that I was going to do this, that I shouldn't be afraid, but that I was going to, that I was going to be judged, and that it explained a lot. And it was like, you're going to forget these things, but here is the key points to remember. And then go do your thing. And whether you do or do not, someone or something will eventually. And so I chose to do. And here we are again today from those moments. But the kind of sadness that I felt was again that of the future of, by sharing this information, how it was going to be judged, how I was going to be treated, how it was going to be treated. And I still feel that to this day and stuff. Because it just as I say, it feels like this is it. It feels like this is the answer, but it is not. It is also not the answer. It is still a stepping stone to further answers that there will never be this answer. The answer is the equation itself. And we're just expanding that equation at all times, which again, we'll get into more of that, and you'll hear more of that later.
It feels as if everything is in motion / construction and on its way, and I'm about to deal with the consequences of this experience / these experiences. December 19th, still experiencing this feeling and further attempting to describe it as the funk. January 8th, 2020. The funk prepared us for these moments. September 20th, 2020. The funk continues to provide. March 16th, 2021. Highway 19 plays. October 21st. October 5th, 2021. A feeling of almost historical judgment. How does / will existence react with this or any information or experience? April 18th, 2022. March 5th, 2023. Road Rash plays. February 6th, 2024. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Albert Camus.
I'm going to pause there because I need to write a note to myself. I apologize. Okay. Page 13. Okay.
August 11th, 2024. December 5th, 2019, 10:25. Wait followed by support. Exactly what happened next and is still happening, more / less. December 19th, 2019. I feel a decent personal amount of support so far. January 6th, 2020. Surreal. September 20th, 2020. Expanding. March 16th, 2021. Still expanding and being supported. October 5th, 2021. I would like to add that whether requested or not and needed or not, you can absolutely wait for support for however long or in any way you'd like. But it is important in also being the support that is present within yourself and your environment while you wait. The support you receive, if any, will be subjective and give random results, good and / or bad. So try a reach, build, and reinforce as much support as possible for yourself and what you care for depending on your interests. Or don't, user's choice. If you consider when physics or technology cannot support an event, it can and very often results in some sort of error. But even these errors are also important as they hopefully lead to further growth, expansion, and / or evolution via trial and error. April 18th, 2022. Increasing still. March 5th, 2023. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it isn't. Do what you are able while you wait. February 6th, 2024. I can't promise things ever get better, but I can guarantee things become different. August 11th, 2024, and things sure are different. Open to music suggestions. Who'da Thunk Band at gmail.com. December 5th, 2019, 10:40. From nothing comes something, which is the idea I am proposing and further analyzing, followed by room, where I am at currently and where you are, where I am at currently and where you are within or without at some form.
I understand. My writing is a little weird and difficult, and so reading it, you know, can be a bit of a challenge. Francisco, I applaud you at dissecting this, and anyone who does. So, sorry. Let's continue.
December 19th, 2019. still existing and co-inhabiting inside of that room, September 20th, 2020. Again, quantumly connected here and wherever you are reading, discussing, experiencing, or thinking about this and / or then. March 16th, 2021. In rotation plays, April 18th, 2022. Here I am again simultaneously with and without you. March 5th, 2023. Where the heart and being is and sometimes is not. February 6th, 2024. Sometimes too little, sometimes too much, and sometimes just right. August 11th, 2024. This room, frequently my room, occasionally our room, invariably funk room. The music I'm listening to is on a fairly large sized shuffle, by the way, as you may probably know by now. Help me add to it. The Greatest Shuffle Ever Made Part 1, The Greatest Shuffle Ever Made Part 2, The Greatest Shuffle Ever Made Part 3. December 5th, 20...
If you're interested, basically, that's just a collection of literally every song I've ever liked or listened to. If I hear it, I put it on these shuffles. And Spotify playlists only go up to 11,000 tracks. So we're probably about like at least 30,000 tracks in. Always growing.
19, 1047. March toward the unknown. What I and we are doing. Excuse me. The following discussions were screenshotted real time across Reddit. Reddit Ask Philosophy, Facebook, and several forums of 4chan, including advice, music, paranormal, and random, and then transferred here, Friday, December 6th, 2019, at 9:10. Things in brackets. I am adding as I re-go through these ideas and type it here, April 26th, 2022, and later in bold.
So again, just as a clarity, everything that you see in regular text, that was very most likely done on real time as this treatise was expanding. And then anything in bold text is being going back later as I re-expand with different timestamps. It is a living
Friday, December 6th, 2019, number 238-833-89. Jesus. I'm not interested in reading a fucking novel right now.
OP means original poster. So I posted this thread, which you can find the links there. They're archived to go to if you want to read them, where I was presenting these ideas to the internet. And this was the first response that I got from the internet, right here.
Just give me a TLDR so I can appreciate your shitty ARG. April 26th, 2022. Imagine a TLDR for the entirety of reality and beyond.
Which is what I'm kind of trying to do. But that is almost an impossible task in itself. I mean, imagine trying to summarize anything, everything, and nothing in a small little TLDR. I attempt to do that, and I'm getting there deeper. And that is kind of, this is the joke, essentially, of now the next project, the TLDR series with ChatGPT, which is, ironically, satirically, even longer than the treatise itself.
Number 238-834-101.
But all this information has to happen before we can TLDR it again. And then that'll just expand into something else, and then we'll TLDR that, and that'll expand into other things. It'll be forever.
Over number 238-833-89. I have been observing this TLDR pattern of what you are saying for quite some time, so I do hope eventually you and others give it a chance and read it all the way through to attempt to further understand it, even though you have already interacted with it and have attributed it to what is existing now. My apologies if it seems the length of a small or a large novel. It is a lot of information and experience to be able to understand, and a TLDR of this TLDR is not available yet, March 16th, 2021. Much longer papers and books have been written and read. People and things both will and won't share with you their time and presence. With every creation comes an opportunity, whether desired, needed, or wanted, etc. or not. Float plays. Number 238-834-34 over number 238-833-89. This number.
That response was they were agreeing that I need to give a TLDR so that they can appreciate my shitty argument.
238-834-45. Okay, I read it all. You're right. OP, not all of us can even conceive what you're trying to talk about. You can and you can't, and you will and you won't. To me, it just reads as the ramblings of a young adult who just had his first experience with a psychedelic drug. Correct and incorrect. I understand how you or someone else may perceive that, and you are right that this information is currently how it reads to you in your perspective, but you are not fully correct in my, your, and our attempts at the comprehension and understanding of this information and my, your, and our experience behind it based on what you are telling me. Beyond the ad hominem, whether I or anyone/anything am using drugs or not, or eating a banana, or combing my hair, or I'm upside down or inside out, etc., please attempt to understand what it is I am attempting to describe to you. Though in my/our experiences, yes, some psychedelic drugs do perhaps help connect us into this dream or thought or deeper funk state that seems to cause these or any ideas to form, and I am proposing it additionally comes chemically from perhaps our pineal gland or whatever is next discovered, or the entire combined and individual particle structures and compositions of the entire mind and human body, and then even deeper from what exists beyond string theory and to funk theory and beyond. I, from a personal experience, different and similar to your personal experience, understand how you could relate it to the ramblings of someone on drugs or not, and whether it be their first time to do so or not. But I am still going to relay to you all of the information for you or others to expand upon, thus giving the future, present, and potentially the past something to examine across time, providing the I, you, and they are existing within the chance to do so. And we will continue experiencing these moments, whether within or without varying levels of personal or group perceptions, however altered or normal you could believe them to be.
So essentially, no, I was not on drugs and everything. But it doesn't mean that the message that I was trying to translate was not translating. And that told me that taught me the things I'm saying aren't really hitting yet, but I'm on a path that was getting interest. That people were like, I kind of see what you're saying here, but you seem like you're on a ton of acid and shit, or you're having a manic episode, which I wasn't. But again, as I state, whether I was or wasn't, at least take this as opinion, as something to listen to, and then give me a deeper opinion and suggestion rather than just dismiss it by ad hominem. All right.
March 6th, 20.
Though it is within your right to do either. I'm not telling you how to be or anything. These are suggestions on how to perhaps greater move forward on these things rather than dismiss it. And we'll get into that. We missions and no missions, prunoing, synapsing, more Abarak and less Abarak, which you don't know about yet. We'll get there.
2023. Any information presented to an individual/group from another individual/group is going to be judged. Consider Plato's allegory of the cave. Anyone or anything coming from outside of the cave is going to seem absurd. If someone leaves the cave, learns what exists outside of the cave, and comes back to share that knowledge and experience, it is very likely that even if they came back with the answers of the universe, those in the cave would only in rare cases ever even consider it.
And that allegory is going to come up a lot in this treatise. It's several times. And there's even a point where before I even understood the allegory of the cave, someone even mentions it. And they're like, this is kind of like that. And then later it hits how hard it really is that. I mean, like, imagine trying to explain the sun to someone who's never seen it. Imagine trying to explain an idea to someone who's never had it. And then there's further examples of that. But essentially that. And we'll get into what happens when you do those things. When you leave a cave and you come back and you share your experience. What happens? And that's kind of the response to this whole treatise and stuff. Is my experience and then how people responded to it. Moving on.
Number 238-83454. It is my observation that everything is connected through our experience of being and doing. I took a workshop in mindfulness-based cognitive therapy in 2015, and it immediately inspired a theory of conscious perception based on the modes of being and doing described in MBCT, correlating these two modes to calculus, differentiation, and integration, and describing them as being involved with conscious experience in an evolutionary process. That sounds awesome. Seeking for the similar philosophies led me to Taoism. Same discordianism, and then process philosophy. I found the same dynamic I had initiated at the core of process thought, especially the work of Alfred North Whitehead, who had made many of the same precise correspondings I had theorized. Examples of recognition of the patterns you and I are describing and how we are now learning and expanding from the collected experiences of.
So what I mean there is this person is responding to what I said, that it is my observation that everything is connected through our experience of being and doing. This person has an understanding through that, and they're then sharing their understanding of how that relates to this. And we are expanding funk. And that is what I am seeking when I ask for, like, engagement and everything. It's just stuff like this. But again, even the denials and the dismissals showcase examples of how this information teaches itself. And so again, you'll see how this document expands and educates. And in my opinion, does it in a very interesting way.
January 8th, 2020, history repeats and re-examines itself through knowledge of itself. September 20th, 2020, history repeats and re-examines itself through knowledge and experience of itself. March 16th, 2021, history repeats, expands, and re-examines itself through knowledge and experience of itself. April 18th, 2022, history repeats, expands, and re-examines itself through knowledge and experience of itself. Some more. July 31st, 2022, history repeats, expands, and re-examines itself through knowledge and experience of itself, some more within itself and without itself. March 6th, 2023, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Soren Kierkegaard.
Good quote.
February 6th, 2024, and though it may seemingly be your first time, here we are again, continuing from these repetitions and re-examining. August 11th, 2024, and it keeps expanding.
I want to say that hopefully you understand what I mean there. that history just keeps repeating and re-examining itself, and then it expands and it grows. As you can see, those sentences throughout time, I go back and expand it a little bit. But one of the key ones is that although this may seemingly be your first time here or your first time reading this, all of that past has still just been happening, expanding in this moment, and we're continuing those repetitions and re-expandings, and we're just doing another Mobius strip loop of, essentially, and then it keeps expanding.
Here is an overview of my theory of perception.
That was just a test pause.
old.reddit.com/
So that link is the theory of that guy discussed when he went into the he took the class and everything, and he's talking about Alfred North Whitehead. I have this theory copy pasted below. I don't know if the link still works, but that is why I have it in the treatise. So if you want, you Control F and search for link 1. But it's also on in this treatise. It says it's on. Oh, I don't even have it here. But in the current treatise, it's on page 90. I include the page number that it's on as well. I don't have that in the 5th edition.
which can be
But again, you can just Control F and look for link 1. Just type LINKONE.
found as link 1 when Control plus F. Friday, December.
And I used to have that as Alt F4 for some reason. Not as a joke. I think subconsciously I typed Alt F4. And so in previous editions, you can see it say Alt F4. And it wasn't even, I think it was till like recently, like right before the 5th edition that I got that, which very silly because I would just have you close out whatever you're doing. But it is Control F. Moving on.
6th, 2019. 4:59 p.m. I understand that to some, it, in addition to all this, is an almost irritating almost. I understand that to some, it, in addition to all this, is an almost irritating amount, length, and repetition of explanations and events to understand and be able to completely, in a way, attempt to comprehend and also not. It can be very conflicting information while also being and not being, seemingly the definitions and / or perfect examples of or not, but whether it be mine, someone, or something else's explanations and examples of it all, or even a fraction of, these are my observations and proofs that it exists and has potentially again led up to this moment, if not being the first time, as well as it potentially doesn't / isn't. For example, I responded to this previous message / thread a second ago, but the thread was deleted, though later discovered to have been archived, and I have no idea if anyone was able to read it or see it except those who responded, but I am still able to keep expanding off of that / this / those / these moments and gather more information, and hopefully so are you and so are we, and thus the funk continues to expand. September 20th, 2020. And as you can see, it's still expanding from even though, and as you can see, is still expanding from it, even though occasionally disconnecting from direct contact into indirect contact within and potentially without itself. March 16th, 2020. Stampede Parade plays. April 18th, 2022, and it keeps expanding. March 6th, 2023, and it keeps expanding. February 13th, 2024, and it keeps expanding. August 11th, 2024, and it keeps expanding.
And today, right now, it keeps expanding. And in this moment, it keeps expanding. And in this moment, it keeps expanding. Forever and ever and always.
I may read, sound like, or appear to be acting as one of those subjectively annoying or boring video game characters, NPCs, or people that you have or will not interact with in your existence, of the all-encompassing funk that you want to TLDR or skip through. But to my observation, every time someone or something does what we are doing, taking time to connect and expand with and without each other, there is some sort of universal quantum state of reaction from that experience of information, and together we observe and learn from all of those actions and slash or reactions or not. Newton's third law: for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. But we should also consider any tangent reactions within and slash or beyond reality slash surreality, as they are and are not within slash and slash or a part of the influences of from our reality. February 13th, 2024. In the current timeline, it has been a trend on social media platforms for some to act as NPCs, non-playable characters, as entertainment, and it, of course, like those things, has mixed reactions. We are each the main characters and slash or the NPCs throughout reality at various times and spaces, though regardless of which, each has an interconnected influence to slash from the entirety of the funk to each other and everything, and how you want to interact slash react to everyone slash everything is up to you.
And so what I mean by that is like, this is a lot of information. And I have to express it in a way that is going to transcend time, that is going to be translatable, or at least try to be. And so I have to sound like this NPC who's like trying to tell you all these things, and you're just like hitting the A button, like, okay, I just want to play the game. I just want to play the game. And what I'm asking is that, and what the developers ask when they're making these games is, read this. This might tell you something you need to know in the future. Uh, and next time when you're back at these moments, yeah, sure, you can skip through it because you've already seen it, you already know it. But if you're doing it before you know even know it, then you're probably gonna miss something. And so that's what I mean by that, to a degree.
Unless they were to contact me, I'll never know if the original person or people I was talking to in the thread are still thinking and slash or remembering about this, or how they were influenced by it. And if they will ever be able to continue to understand or return to what I am describing, because now we are further and further from that exact event. But at the same time, we are still forever connected to its happening, and the results are continuing in action and slash or reaction as I resume typing and as we expand through slash from time, space, and funk. January 8th, 2020. They and I, as are you now, also have been directly and indirectly influenced by these events slash all events, and will always be directly and indirectly connected to them. But I cannot personally speak for them or you as to what your perspectives and understandings of how these informations, connections, and slash or influences have affected you and slash or them. April 18th, 2022. We all will continue these experiences and more in our own ways, beyond individually as funk and collectively together as funk and beyond.
So essentially, we had that moment of this thread. Then it got deleted, and I won't ever know those people that I talk to, where they are in life, how they think, what they do. Are they still affected by this moment? I mean, they are to a degree, but they may probably never even think about it. It's just a subconscious thing that happened in a quantum moment of their life, and now we can never remove that. And now here you are, having first been indirectly influenced by it because it was happening in the past, as well as you at the same moment existing doing your own thing, and we were directly influencing each other through all of this and funk. But now we are directly influenced through this moment. You are now a part of it at that level, because this collapses that forward. All right.
Statistically, they/you will and/or won't directly reconnect and/or further attribute to the information within this treatise. I currently don't and may never know more about these persons' journeys since that moment of interconnection occurred unless whoever/whatever that specifically asked me those/these questions and discussed with me what about what I am revealing to you now and
I get it. It's a little confusing wording.
I currently don't and may never know more about these persons' journeys since that moment of interconnection occurred unless whoever/whatever that specifically asked me those/these questions and discussed with me about what I am revealing to you now are/were able to contact me and connect and expand upon these ideas further in the events between our last connection. In any case, we continue or not as the universal continuing continues with or without us and not.
Just gonna keep going, no matter what.
Just as I have been proposing to you about the funk, as well as to those individuals, groups, etc., of how they potentially connect and/or reconnect to each other and everything if I, or the persons who asked the previous questions eventually wanted to and made the decisions to give the effort it needed, they could seek and find this information as it is currently now to us more and more accessible and seemingly perspectively able to be connected and reconnected to, and theoretically.
And what I mean by that is, at the time, uh, I had only shared the treatise, and no, I don't even think I had shared it with people at this point, except through discussion online. But since 2019, this moment, um, it has been shared a lot. A lot of people have requested it. It's been shared through emails, through I don't even know what happens after that. Right? Anyone could be doing anything with it. Um, and I lost my train of thought. So
There is a lot of it, both in amount and description, while additionally in continuous expansion within and beyond its own hierarchies. For example, I could continue posting to the internet all of this information I've collected or produce it into a book or somehow, eventually through edits and observation and knowledge and experience of describing it, the funk potentially provides a more informative collection summary or TLDR and becomes easier and/or more difficult to understand as there is expansively and comprehensively more to understand as further knowledge is gathered and evaluated or not. Unfortunately for us, we have to attempt to understand and explain all of what it slash that means first before we can shorthand it.
it's a continuous train of thought, and so this has a bigger reach now, and now it's on YouTube. Now you can listen to it. You can watch it. And so the reach is going to keep continue to expand. And as this reach continues to expand, it's going to have more things feed into it. And then that feed is going to continue to expand it even farther. And it's going to do exactly, as a living treatise, what funk does to reality. Um, And then as we collect this information and we expand on it, and then more time passes and it reaches further, and then we expand on it more, that is when we can start doing these small little TLDRs of this large, giant information. And then those TLDRs just add to it. And it's just this forever expanding and expanding information that we keep trying to summarize forever. And that doesn't mean it's pointless. There is meaning to that. And it gets us to here, these moments.
Imagine if I were able to transfer to you all of this information you have been reading and experiencing with the quick sound of a horn, or a single digit, or a smell, or something you could instantly understand, or potentially something else we inevitably do or do not understand and/or can currently imagine.
Like, if I could go like that, and you understood this whole treatise, I bet you would love that. And that's kind of what I hope to one day get to. I hope one day all this information, all these things, is just integrated into us as epistemic knowledge. I mean, it already is in a way, but not to how it is now, because now is much more evolved than 400 years ago. We are completely different beings. We're different beings than we are 2 minutes ago. And we're going to keep expanding and improving these things until we can reach this moment. And I believe that if we don't wipe each other out, then I think we're going to get to this. I think we're getting here. And to an exponentially faster degree, especially with technology and everything. Um, I think we're going to get to a point where we can, you know, link that fast at the speed of thought. But that is high hopes.
An example, this word I'm going to make up right now by randomly typing my fingers together onto the keys to translate Poweter Tepu 9 Bekstadish.
That's pretty good.
Yes. Imagine now you are able to Google or think of Pound 9, and suddenly you know/knew everything, or even a fraction of it. No matter the amount of your understanding of at least everything that you now currently know about, we only currently know this far of our everything and this much about it. So right about now, we are translating the understanding that I have typed for now the fourth time you've read it, unless you somehow read it or experienced it more times than that. Like if I come back to edit and say for now the fifth time, or if I learn to eventually pronounce it as FLWRS U9 Beck for Dishks sixth, and then I verbally say the phrase, word or code, it will then have been said now 7 times. And if you yourself one day read, translated, or produced this after all of that, then it continues from at least 7 current or now forever happenings, and you're probably at 14 times it has been experienced. Unless you yourself did not try to pronounce it verbally, then it would be 13, or not at all, which it would then still have been experienced at least 7 times. More now, because I myself have read and/or thought about it and seen Huertet U9 Beck for Dishk repeatedly since I created it. But really we created it because you were and now are a part of it. Who or whatever built this keyboard was a part of it, so on and so forth.
And as you can imagine, it's going to get into this in a little second, but now this word has come to existence. And in the treatise right here, for example, it comes up 7 times, but I've been through this treatise multiple times, and the word has come up a lot. People have read this treatise. Francisco just read the treatise. And so now this word is forever expanding, right? It's going to be used over and over and over and over again. And we understand it as what it is, as the purpose it serves, as uh, what is it? Not semiotics, but the word one. I can't remember at the moment. But that's going to be in the chat GPT TLDR. I will find out what that is. But moving on, this is going to get deeper into Pairware Tepu 9
January 8th, 2020. But again, given enough time, theoretically, hopefully one day someone could ask, what is the meaning of life? And you can say, Pairware Tepu 9 and you will both know and completely understand rather than assume to know your understandings of.
And so even now, you understand what I mean to a degree and what Francisco means when we say Pairware Fetinan Fetpichich, you know? Even when we mess it up, you get it to a degree. And then that understanding is just going to continue to evolve. That is so cool. Oh, shit. What is that called? We're moving on.
September 20th, 2020. Possibly we could even use this randomly generated phrase provided by the funk as a mantra to further connect with the funk if you so desired. Pa e huer tep unan bek dich. Pa e huer tep unan bek fishit. Pa e huer tep unan bek fish dich. Let me know your experience so it can become Googleable. April 18th, 2022. It doesn't show up on Google yet, but here it is existing whether you Googled it or not. February 14th, 2024. In our understandings of Pa e huer tep unan bek dich, and everything changes with each experience and expansion of funk existence, experience, understanding, etc. Just as when I first mentioned Pa e huer tep unan bek dich, you knew nothing about it, and now you know that much more or less. Everything, eventually, things accumulate an amount of meaning that one and/or more does or doesn't understand in the spectrums between and beyond. So as information knowledge / experience / etc. expands, they also potentially, eventually can be condensed via transformation, transference, etc.
I tried to Google it again. It's not there yet. But there are a lot of things in this treatise that if you Google, it shows up because it was in those archive pages. So while it's not there yet, it probably soon will be once this is on the website, and also once this, expands a little bit more. Eventually, we'll all be able to understand Pairware Tepu 9 Bekfistage a little bit more.
Friday, December 6th, 2019, continued. I am thinking about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Douglas Adams' idea that there could be a collective guide or encyclopedia to gather all the information in the universe at the ready and in your hands. And I am suggesting figuratively, subjectively, metaphorically, yada yada yada, that we have reached many very similar versions of that idea / story / novel within our and its existence, or at least what it and whatever attributed it to it could be in these present, past, and future moments, and that the funk is in a way doing that and has editors, guides, knowledge, links, and connections now to almost everything and everywhere you have and haven't looked or experienced. or if not, it can eventually be imagined or created by someone or something that is not you or me, but still a relative thing of advanced learning and data storage/sharing. I see and experience these interconnected synchronicities happening all the time. Throughout history, someone thinks of a similar joke, word, sound, phrase, idea, or form of art or expression that has somehow existed before or will exist in patterns, memory, and learning in whatever form of existence and coincidence, and their environments are influenced by their similar creations or lack of creations. Many original thoughts, ideas, and outputs are just expansions of previous experiences and data input and output, and all of these thoughts and experience intermingles, perhaps through a connected consciousness/unconsciousness, trans-universal experience, morphogenic fields, morphic resonance, etc. All of it, some of it, and none of it. A completely, infinitely interconnected funk. I said yada 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 in that previous paragraph because I assume that you, in a way, potentially know some form of meaning, significance, or more information behind it, and also the meaning of the use of yada yada yada. And if you don't, you either will or won't ever find out. But you can ask me what I further meant besides choosing to use phrases like etc. or so on and so forth. And then you would further know what I meant. Or you could even ask someone or something else and get their interpretation.
Sorry, it's bugging me with my ADD. It is semiotics that I meant with the words. Now you know, in case you don't watch any of the other videos. Sorry, Francisco, to interrupt.
And then if you didn't understand it before, you at.
In fact, I'm going to reread that real quick so that I can catch up as well. I said yada 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 in that previous paragraph because I assume that you, in a way, potentially know some form of meaning, significance, or more information behind it, and also the meaning of the use yada yada yada. And if you don't, you either will or won't ever find out. But you can ask me what I further meant, besides choosing to use phrases like etc. Or so on and so forth, and then you'll further know what I meant. For example, right here, you know. I could have just not looked up the semiotics and just been like, oh, yeah, we're just not going to know. But I chose to find out. And now we further understand each other to a smaller degree.
Next point, now comprehend that it also means or is similar to phrases like etc. or and so on and so forth, or to a deeper degree. For example, I thought of saying convectionally, but I wasn't sure if it really applied in that way, so I didn't share the information as that. But I also did share how I thought of using convectionally with you just now, and you can repeat that process forever until you are unable or become unwilling, or another outcome I haven't currently described that you or we may know about or not. Back to questions/comments from the internet. I mean, it's a cute idea, and I came up with something along the lines of my novel. Although thinking more in code and quantum field names, but if you propose something like this seriously, it sounds silly without any hint of logic and evidence beyond my fields. And you are, in a way, partially correct towards that. But that's where philosophy starts. I am able to see that this person is interpreting the information I have given them, and if you are reading this, then you are as well to your ability. I have now, in a way, transferred myself into this person's thought and experience, as well as mine and yours, beyond my fields. And now we are connected in our influences instead of before, when I was without that person's connection of knowledge, being, and interaction before that moment. Just as you are now with mine and ours, as I have, and as I am suggesting, we have observed/experienced These connections of influence across the history I/we have spent observing / experiencing itself, each other, and everything, which is basically, again, by observable pattern, my and your entire existences and beyond our funk. Since the moment funk was turned on and everything before that, to my current knowledge at this time, the information we have doesn't reveal everything, but in some way it also does, or potentially can, through these patterns / connections / influences / etc. that I am expressing to you now, and that all others have expressed before me. I know by now I've said these things numerous times, but that is how I and / or we are currently making sense of it. February 15th, 2024. Forever evolving and expanding from these repetitions and / or first experiences via every collective caravan. Forever evolving and expanding from these repetitions and / or first experiences via every collective caravanialistic result or potentialities.
That's not on Francisco for not knowing that word. It is a word that came to me in a dream to help me explain uh, the frames of reality and how reality moves and works, and how we can collect quantum positioning in these Caravanial moments. Um, and when I hired these people to read the treatise, I didn't want to influence them in a way beyond. Um, this is going to be 10 pages. I'd like you to read this, and then I'd like you to share your thoughts. And I didn't want to be like, these are the words you're gonna happen. The only precursor that I really said was like, if it's any like bad words or things that you don't want to say, you can skip over that. You don't have to say it, and we're gonna get into that in a while. And I'm gonna do the same thing. But you'll hear most people try to pronounce this word and more words that come up in the treatise that again they've never experienced. Just like for again, I can't remember that. What is it? Payer where tapu nine breakfastage. It's stuff like that we've never experienced these things, but now we are, and you will further come to understand them more and more as we go on. One thing that I find extremely interesting is in the TLDR series, when I'm running these things through ChatGPT, I haven't even explained Carvana yet, and the way it picks up on it is pretty interesting. Um, and we'll talk about it a little more later, but I do want to just expand that thought. But additionally, how in the treatise and in life, we talk about like how you will forget these things. But it is always there for you to go back to when you want to remember. Uh, at some point, ChatGPT can only take a certain amount of pages before it starts forgetting, and then it starts remembering again in a new way. And especially with Carvana, I found it really interesting how it just picked up on what it meant by the little cues of where it was. Let's keep going.
Also, as our experience and accumulated knowledge may suggest. I am aware that it potentially sounds silly without actual scientific proofs, because just as this person and many others have told myself and others postulating infinitely similar and dissimilar ideas and / or the exact or similar thing, or had similar experiences of denials, misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and / or doubts when looking for proofs of everything and anything. So I have also, as you have, and the persons you / we are describing seem to, in a way, understand why perhaps this may be. And again, I am proposing that with time and experience, The process eventually covers every variable, or is currently able to further attempt to do so, as well as it does not. The proofs, disproofs, evidence, and /or defeaters arrive the further we carry and transfer this information and continue to examine it, research it, expand upon it, and evolve/transform it, etc. So the silliness, just as all knowledge and experience, continues as we discover what is wrong and right trans-universally and transfunc. I/we must present the information first in order to evolve and understand more information through its interpretation and trials. February 15th, 2024. Many things sound or appear silly when you're first presented with them. Some things even more than once, especially something this broad and/or esoteric/exoteric. I mean, this whole last paragraph is very silly, let alone the entirety of everything and beyond. My intention is to present this information right and/or wrong and continue to learn more from it for it as it evolves, which could also be viewed as a very silly thing to do. August 11th, 2024. And sometimes, whether it be philosophy, scientific fact, or whatever, that silliness never goes away.
And so, yeah, I am proposing something like this seriously, but I'm also proposing it in a fun and silly way, and recognizing that when you propose things like this, or any idea that challenges other ideas, it's going to sound silly at first. You're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But then if you really dive into it and and get it to it and explore it, eventually we'll reach to the point where we can, dismiss it with defeaters, or with defeaters, we keep strengthening what it is. A lot of fact starts as fiction. Science is a philosophy, right? You go through all these trials to reach what works and what doesn't. And so, this does move beyond my feels. And these are this is the logic and the proofs that I'm trying to present to you. And by doing so, in response, people will say, okay, this makes sense and this doesn't. And then we work on that. We take that the thesis, the antithesis, and we reach a synthesis. And then that process is just going to keep repeating forever until it doesn't, can't, or won't.
I mean, the purpose of art is to connect, so the feelings only seem given, though never felt shit about me. Sounds kind of myopic, yo. The patterns I see in the creation of art and creation of life is again, in a way, what this person was describing. I know, and they seem to know, that part of art is connecting to creation, or a creation, or what has been created, and the ability to feel any connection to it or not, and then creating something from that connection that will, in many forms, be connected with, analyzed, judged, and sentenced by others or not. This person is claiming they have never felt the connection, but aren't they? With that message and all the events leading to its creation, relaying their past experiences and information of art, and isn't that arguably their connection and reaction to it, and partially how they feel about it? Because whatever they and/or I/we experienced has happened and is happening, and they have formed a current analysis and outcome of their perspective and relative experience, and that is either the unlikely current end of it, or it will more likely keep going in potentially any and every direction, as that person or thing will now bring it along to evolve and resolve with them. You and I across time and space, within and without themselves. For this person above, they say they never felt shit about themselves or maybe art, but that is how they are feeling, so they indeed are feeling, or at least experiencing, even if they don't believe themselves to be February 16th, 2024. So to make that claim is ironically myopic itself. So again, things are still continuing to make sense to me, but more information is needed to more clearly transfer this understanding to someone or something outside of myself. Same to you, to all of us. Each of us within the funk are at every moment attempting to understand the funk, and it is a lot to try to understand and comprehend. Additionally, we each currently perceive it differently and are even possibly existing within our own separate yet coexisting realities. And when we assist each other to reach further connection and understanding of our realities, it becomes more possible to understand more and less all the changes, traditions, experiences, evolutions, transformations, mutations, etc. that brought you slash us here slash there via a collective experience, etc. I also see the pattern of what you mean by myopic, and that sometimes these experiences potentially seem nearsighted or very close to the self, and things are and aren't, and all the patterns and information universally and locally around us shows slash tells us that. Arguably, taste, sound, feeling, sight, smell, or any other senses and ways to describe or experience anything to you or me is seemingly impossible, difficult, or a particle, or subatomically, quantumly, or metaphysically deeper, yet also now possible and probable to do. And somehow, through the entire collective particles of the entirety of funk, time, and space, we have evolved into those abilities right now. And over enough time, we will continue to understand more of it and slash or not. And further continue to understand everything until we, as a more advanced funk, are pretty much omnipotent and omnipresent and potentially eventually, paradoxically, create the next ourselves to repeat and slash or expand the process or not. And something about the explanation and understanding of all of that and the funk is both believable and not believable, as well as variably comprehensible to every individual. So the act of describing itself is exponentially difficult and increasingly both harder and easier to understand as we experience the more of it.
I had something to say about that, but now I'm forgetting. I'll see. Oh, okay. Uh, Whatever. I think that explains itself. This is, I think, now going to be his response to what he read. Let's hear what he's got to say.
To be honest, reading that book has made me feel about three different things. I'll say first, it made me feel like, why the fuck am I reading this random ass book? But then I'm like, oh, okay, money. But then I'm like, all right.
He says money because I paid everyone who did a reading $50 for their time. Essentially $5 a page, and then a response. I thought that was fair.
What is this world of funk that Sean is alluding to? And where is he getting at? It kind of makes me want to read more.
I hope you do.
It makes me think of how I sound and if what I read aloud in video form will make people think the things that I thought whilst reading it. Things like how he described the way that we are and aren't experiencing things. Um, I think about that a lot introspectively, and I love how you go on to write that whether we come across this information or not, it is and isn't connected. This is a very interesting read. I also have realized that I've never read this much aloud, like back to back. But this is cool. I'm excited to see what you put together. This is interesting for sure.
Well, now it's recording my background. Uh, so, all right. Essentially, that is that. So I'm just gonna move this right here. But I still think that that is fascinating. I'm gonna expand this a little bit because I don't know if that picture is copyrighted or something like that. Um, but that's kind of him. When Francisco mentions uh, if it's inspiring others to think or feel the way that he does, or we do, or each other, that's kind of what I'm opening up to. When you're presented with this information, how does it make you feel? What does it make you think? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? How does it move you? And how similar are each of our movements? And then let's take all that data and let's see what comes out of it. Like, what are the true connections, the epistemic truths of each of those? Because they are going to be different for all of us. Um, but I'm also uh, extending off of what he said, like this is the longest, one of the longest things he ever read, like out loud. Um, I hope to inspire others to do the same, and I know that most people won't, and so that's why I'm again doing audio and video readings and discussions, and they're the burps, and so I understand Francisco, all the burps and stuff that come when you are reading and talking in this amount and length of time. It happens to when I'm with homeowners all the time selling roofs. It's very slightly embarrassing, but it's just something we all do. Um, and so I'm not going to do a final analysis and summary at the end of this because I'm going to save that for the TLDR segments now. And so I love you, and the funk provides. And so I'll see you next time.